to the tutorial of the family trees as it pertains to our production of Richard III. So everything starts with Edward III. He is undisputed king, no one hates him, he's pretty cool. We've got his sons, Edward, of course, Lionel, we've got John, and Edmund. Now, Lionel is Duke of Clarence, not important. John is Duke of Lancaster. And Edmund is Duke of York. Prince Edward, who is the heir to the throne, first son, oldest son, he dies in battle. But he has a son, Richard II, but he's too young when Edward dies to reign. Oh, at this point, Edward III has also died. So, Richard III is king, he's too young, his uncles rule things for a while. He finally gets crowned. Turns out he's not that great of a king. He takes everybody's money, and people get pissed at him. Especially John the Duke of Lancaster's son, Henry Bolingbroke. They do not like each other, and Richard banishes Henry somewhere, I don't know where, for 6 years. Now, when John dies, the dukedom of Lancaster rightly goes to Henry, but Henry has been banished, so Richard takes it, along with his crown, all his land, all his money. Henry hears about it way far away, who knows where, gets really pissed, and gathers an army, comes back to claim not only the dukedom, but the crown as well, because he thinks that Richard's doing a really shitty job. Richard is, at the time, away somewhere, mysteriously fighting some other war. Edmund, Duke of York, is in charge and pussies out when Henry shows up with his giant army and says, okay, here you go, and Henry becomes Henry the Fourth. So he gets back everything he had. When Richard comes back, he is, of course, executed. Alright, so that's just about it for the play Richard II. Now we move on to Henry IV, parts 1 and 2. Not that much happens, actually. Basically, since Richard had no kids, the grandchildren of Lionel figure out that they're the rightful heirs to the throne. Henry is the first Lancastrian king, pretty much illegally on the throne. So they fight him, and the only interesting thing that happens in Henry IV is that his son, Henry V, Prince Hal, they fight a lot, and they win a lot. So then when Henry dies, Henry V becomes King Henry. He's got the crown. So now we're on to Henry V. Henry decides that he should be king of France as well as king of England, and he looks at a very complicated genealogy chart and says, oh, I'm closer to the king of France than the king is. So he goes to France, fights, wins, becomes king of France. This gets complicated. Edmund, who is the Duke of York, had two sons, Aumerle and Richard. Aumerle is the most interesting name that you're going to find in this entire genealogy. Aumerle has been Duke of York for this whole time. He's been great. He's been loyal to Henry V. Richard, however, has plotted against Henry V a lot. He gets executed. But he has a son, don't worry, and guess what his name is? Richard. So when Aumerle dies, the Duke of York goes to Richard. So Richard, the son of this conspirator, is now the Duke of York. And he does not like Henry that much because Henry killed his dad. So, let's see. Henry dies of dysentery. Allegedly. So his son, Henry VI, is now king, but he is too young to rule. So now we're on to Henry VI, part 1, 2, and 3. This is a little bit interesting. Joan of Arc shows up, frees France, and promptly dies. Henry VI turns out to be really mentally unstable, marries Margaret of Anjou, who is in our play. He doesn't do much ruling, really. Margaret does a lot of the ruling. She's French, she's bossy, and they have a young son, Prince Edward, who's too young to rule, but he's there. So Richard, the Duke of York, makes his move, tries to grab the throne. There's a lot of fighting. They fight, and Richard wins, gets the throne. Margaret promptly chops off his head and sends his head to his sons, Richard, Edward IV, Richard of Gloucester, and Clarence. Actually, yeah, it goes like that. They get real pissed, and they capture King Henry VI and have him killed, making Edward IV king. Oh, also, they kill Margaret's son, Prince Edward. So Margaret's pissed. She's all by herself. She used to rule the land, rule an army, and everyone is dead. Except these guys. But they're gonna die too. Oh, by the way, this here is the Roar of the Roses. York and Lancaster. All descended from John, Duke of Lancaster, and Edmund, Duke of York. Also, there's another Prince Edward in here somewhere. The end. Good?
Yeah.
Did that seem clear?